Alright, welcome to section 6.2, adding and subtracting rational expressions. So once again, we're working with rational expressions, so the fractions, and then this time though we're adding and subtracting them. So I have a question. When we add or subtract fractions, what do we need? We need, remember, a common denominator. We need to create a common denominator. And how do we do that? By the building up property. Okay, so let's take a look at example 1. Do as indicated. Well, what's being indicated? We have subtraction, and we have two fractions. In order to subtract two fractions, what do you need? They need to have the same denominator. And at the moment, are their denominators the same? No, this one's a 2, and that's an x plus 5. So we need a common denominator. And the easiest way that I've found to do this, I'll go ahead and write my common denominator on the side, is I'll just take each denominator and put it up there. And there we go, that'll be my common denominator. So let's go ahead, x minus 2, 3x over x plus 5. Now, I need to create the same denominator. So to do that, what is this 2 missing? It is missing the x plus 5, which means I need to go ahead and multiply the top by the same. So this is the building up property we were talking about before. So now this looks like my common denominator. Let's focus on the next fraction. What is this fraction missing? It's missing the 2. So let's go ahead and multiply it by the 2, and now that means I need to multiply the top by the 2 as well, the building up property. What you multiply the bottom by, you're going to multiply the top by. Okay, and my equal signs. And so I have x times x plus 5 over 2 times x plus 5 minus 6x over 2 times x plus 5. Aha! Now they have the same denominator. So what can I do when they have the same denominator? Well, we can finally subtract them. So we'll keep the denominator, and then we have, while I'm at it, I'll go ahead and distribute that in. So I get x squared plus 5x. And then we have minus the 6x, and in the bottom we have the 2x plus 5. Alrighty, one thing to note, there is some family members watching a movie in the background, so you might hear some movie noise. Sorry about that. Hopefully you can still focus just on the lecture. Alright, so let's get back to this. Adding like terms, we have the 5x and the 6x. So that'll be x squared minus x all over 2 times x plus 5. The last thing to do is to simplify our fraction, which means we need a factor. So the top one, I can factor out an x from the top, which means I'll be left with x minus 1, and then the bottom I have 2 times x plus 5. Can we simplify anything? No, that's it. So we're done. We've successfully managed to subtract them. Awesome. Okay, let's take a look at the next one. This one looks a lot more complicated. We have a plus sign, not too bad. Now let's take a look at the denominators. You know what? The denominators are actually the same thing. So I don't need to change them, which means I'm just left with 4 plus x in the top, and then x squared plus 2x minus 8. So I kept the denominators and added the numerators. Now the last thing to do is to just see if the bottom factors, and then if we can cancel anything. So let's see, in the denominator, what do we need? Well, we can factor that. Let's see. Factors of 8 that make 2. Well, 2 times 4, I can subtract that. I can subtract and get the 2. So I have x plus 4 and x minus 2. Let's see, can we simplify anything? Well, you know what? If I rewrote the numerator into x plus 4, I actually could. I can cancel out those x plus 4s, are the same thing. And then I'm just left with 1 over x minus 2. Okay, so this fraction, they actually had the same denominator, so we didn't have to do the building up property we did before. However, this one we did have to remember to simplify. Alright, let's take a look at the next examples. Once again, we have do as indicated. However, this time, what do we have? We have 3 separate fractions. One is a subtraction and one is an addition. So we have to be careful there. 3 different things going on. And their denominators are all different. Ooh, okay, so we have a little more of a challenge. All the denominators are different. So one thing we want to make sure to do is that the denominators are all factored before we try and create the common denominator. Because once again, we need a common denominator to add the fractions. Well, the 6 over y, that's already factored. And let's see, the 1 over y minus 3, that's also already factored. Plus 3 over, ooh, this one's not factored. So we need to factor it first. We'll take out the y, and then we have y minus 3. Okay, so they're all factored. Now I want to create a common denominator that includes all of these guys. So first I'll go ahead and I just like to take the denominators, or the first fractions denominator. That's a y. So I know that one's included. Now let's take a look at the next fraction. Do we have a y minus 3 in our denominator up here? No, we don't, so we need to add that in. Y minus 3. Okay, so we've added it in. These two denominators are both satisfied. How about this denominator? Do I have a y? I do. How about a y minus 3? I do. So in fact, I've satisfied all of them. So now I can create a common denominator. Let's see, what do I need to multiply the first fraction by to get this common denominator? Well, it's just missing the y minus 3. Let's go ahead and multiply that to the top and the bottom with the building up property. Now, the next fraction, what is this one missing? Well, it's just missing the y. So I'll go ahead and multiply top and bottom by y. And the last fraction, what is this one missing? Well, it's not missing anything. It already is the common denominator, so we don't need to multiply it by anything. Let's see, so now we have 6y minus 3 all over y times y minus 3 minus y over y times y minus 3 and plus 3 over y times y minus 3. Do they all have the same denominator? Yes, they do. So now we can go ahead and combine them. And while I'm at that, I'll go ahead and distribute that 6. So we're left with 6y minus 18. And when they have the minus y and the plus 3. All over the same denominator of y times y minus 3. Okay, we actually added them. Awesome. So now we're just going to go ahead, combine like terms. And we get 6y, so that's going to be 5y minus 15 all over y times y minus 3. Are we done? Well, we have to make sure to have everything factored and then simplify, just like we were practicing in the beginning of this video. Well, we can factor that out. They both have a 5. So let's take out the 5, and then we have y minus 3 all over y times y minus 3. Do we have any like terms we can cancel? The answer is yes, we can cancel these y minus 3's. And we're left with 5 over y. And we're done. We boxed our answer. We have our equal signs down the side. We're done. Not too bad. Let's take a look at the next one. Okay. Ooh, this one's a little bigger. And let's take a look at the denominators. Are they the same? Darn, they're not. So, how do I create the common denominator? Well, first, we always want to have our denominators factored. Let me go ahead and just draw a line down the middle real quick. Okay, so we want to have them factored. First things first. So in the bottom, factors of 3 that subtract and give me negative 2. That'll be, let's see, negative 3 and m plus 1. Then we have that minus sign. Let me go ahead and copy down the next one. All over and factors. Let's see. Positive factors of 6, that'll give me 5. M minus 3 and m minus 2. That'll give me that. Alright, so now we have the two fractions. They don't have the same denominator, so I need to create a common denominator. And what I always like to do is just get the first denominator and plop that down in my LCD, because I know I have already included one denominator. Now we just need to focus on the other one and make sure it's included. Do I have an m minus 3 there? I do. Do I have an m minus 2 up there? I don't, so I need to add that in. Alright, so now I have created my common denominator. All of my denominators are included. So now we just need to do the building up property to create the same denominators. So the first fraction is missing the m minus 2. So we'll go ahead, building up property, and there we go. The second fraction is missing m plus 1. Once again, building up property, and there we go. Let me go ahead and include those parentheses. So in the top we have m minus 2 times m plus 4 minus 2m minus 3 times m plus 1 all over our new common denominator of m minus 2 times m minus 3 times m plus 1. Now, are we done? No, we haven't done the subtraction. And in order to do the subtraction, we need to FOIL out these guys. So, doing the FOIL, first we'll get m squared outside, we'll get 4m inside, negative 2m, and last, negative 8. Now we're going to subtract from that, and careful, very careful here. We need the parentheses, because that subtraction is supposed to apply to all of these guys. Very careful. A lot of students make mistakes on this step. So first we'll get 2m squared, outside we'll get 2m, inside we'll get negative 3m, and last we'll get negative 3. Divided by m minus 2 times m minus 3 times m plus 1. Alright, let's go ahead and distribute that negative. And then we have m squared plus, we'll go ahead and combine those two. That'll be 2m minus 8. And then distributing that negative, we have minus 2m squared minus 2m plus 3m plus 3. All divided by m minus 2 times m minus 3 times m plus 1. Now let's combine any like terms. We have the m squares, we have the 2m's, and then we have the numbers. So combining like terms, well, the m squared minus 2m squared is going to be negative m squared. The 2m and these guys, those 2m's will cancel, and we're left with 3m. And then lastly, the negative 8 and the 3, so that'll be negative 5 divided by m minus 2, m minus 3 times m plus 1. I'll make sure that fraction's extended. Okay, so as always, before we're done, we need to make sure we can factor everything and cancel if we can. So let's see, can we factor this trinomial in the top? Factors of 5, so factors of 5 would be 1 and 5. Can I add or subtract those to get 3? I can't. So actually, the numerator is prime. So we're done. We can't factor that trinomial on the top. So that's our answer. Alrighty, and one thing I shouldn't have done. To show me that you did try to factor that, go ahead and show your factoring scratch work on the side, and so on. Alrighty, and that is that for this section. Okay, so once again, bringing in the concept of the lowest common denominator and having to use the building up property. If you have any questions on any of these problems, please stop by my office hour or email me and we can set up a time to meet.